Make sure to watch part 1 before this video. In part 1, I went on a hamster shopping spree for Elmer's new cage and started creating the lid. But now it's time to fully set up his cage and see his reaction. Enjoy. Hello and welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are finally setting up a brand new cage for Elmer, my hamster that I rescued, as a matter of fact found in the woods almost a year ago. And I've had so many comments about Elmer, wondering where he is and how he's doing. So at the end of this, I'll give you a small update on Elmer himself, but the most important thing today is setting up a brand new cage. The cage that Elmer currently has, it's just not big enough, and it never was intended to be a permanent cage, and honestly it just kind of slipped away from it. It's big enough, like it's over the minimum square inches. Obviously that's not thriving, that's just, living. Stay tuned for some Elmer content. So without further ado, the first thing to put in the hamster cage is in fact bedding. So I did decide to go with this option, but like I mentioned, it is not going to be the only thing in here, and I'm going to try to give the hamster the best variety of bedding that I can. So we're going to start with this, but there's going to be a lot more. Also, to make sure that Elmer feels safe in the new enclosure, I will be taking some of his old bedding and kind of stuffing it into different places throughout this enclosure. It has his scent and everything like that, and I will also be transferring a few items from his current cage into here just as like a transition period before I get the new stuff. So example, like the wheel, I will be getting like an acrylic or like Night Angel wheel and one that's bigger as well. But back to what we were doing. And I think what I'm gonna do is like deeper bedding on this side and then like a sand area, stuff like that over there. Definitely don't have anywhere near the amount of bedding I'm going to use, but I wanted to stop here because I want to take this larger log that I have here. It's made out of hay, and I'm actually going to put it down here so that when the hamster goes into it, it's a pretty large log, but when the hamster goes into it, we'll actually be able to see on the outside of the cage. So not only will it make it super natural for the hamster, but also we'll get a nice little sneak peek look at the hamster while he is burrowed down. I did want to address that in this video you will see me using this log in this enclosure. However, after part 1 and seeing your comments about how it contains sawdust and that is actually bad for your hamster, I did remove it from the cage, but throughout this video, because it was filmed before I posted part 1, I did have the log in here, but just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there that these logs are ultimately not the best for your hamster, and so I did remove mine after this video. I'm obviously nowhere done with setting up this cage yet, but I am already so much more in love with this cage than the other one. Elmer's now gonna have about 8 to 12 inches just of bedding on this side here, which is going to create so much more opportunity for burrowing, because in his past cage, it wasn't that tall, so unfortunately I couldn't give him too much depth. But now he's gonna have a lot more once this cage is, more filled up. But the next thing is trying to figure out where I wanna create the divide, because I want to have Elmer's wheel over here and water bottle and stuff like that, so there needs to be a space over here that's more flat. And I think I'm going to use sand, because then at the same time he can use it as a sand bath, or I could use soil. I can't really decide what I want to do just yet, but I do need to start creating the barrier so I can figure out how much more bedding is needed. It's decided I'm definitely going to need at least the rest of this bag. Well, it looks like I didn't get enough bedding. I thought this was the bigger bag and I didn't pay attention to how many liters it was. So I'm gonna have to go to the store and get more bedding before we can finish setting up the hamster cage. So I will catch you guys either later today or tomorrow once I can find another bag. Well, it is a few days later and I am so ready to get this hamster cage done. He is so ready to get into this cage. I know he's going to love it. So let's go ahead and finish setting this thing up. Also, I hope I put a little thing in the beginning of the video, but I just want to mention the cage is not staying by this window because direct sunlight is not good for hamsters. So the cage is not staying here. I'm just setting it up here for the lighting for the video, but his cage will be somewhere else. away from the window. Now, I did get Elmer's new hamster wheel in. This thing is literally massive, which is great. It's acrylic and it's, you know, smooth, which means he has pretty much no risk of bumblefoot, and it's also gonna look super good in this cage. I'm still deciding though if I wanna give him his old wheel just for a couple days to get used to his new cage, but maybe once I finish setting this up, I can decide that. Actually, what I'm gonna do is kind of create a little hole inside of here, and I'm just gonna put some of his old bedding in here so it has his scent, but I don't want to put too much because, you know, it will kind of ruin the aesthetic, and it's really not too necessary because I'm gonna have other stuff from his previous cage as well. So let's get his old bedding in here. Actually, I forgot, I also wanted to put one of these paper towel tubes because he really loves these, and just kind of shove one down in here, and maybe this little one as well because, you know, hamsters love to tunnel and to burrow, and just having some extra stuff underneath the bedding is probably really good as well. He has really made a mess of his old bedding in his cage. I don't want to put too much, but I do want to make him feel the most comfortable that I can, so I want to try to make this transition easy. I mean, that's probably enough because, like I said, there is going to be other stuff in here from his other cage. Should be good, but now looking at it, you have no idea that there's actually tunnels under there and his old bedding, but it's going to make him feel more comfortable and it's going to be better for him, so good. Now, for one of my favorite things I am putting into this enclosure, I decided to make a smaller version of the grass. It did get messed up because I accidentally knocked it off the top of the hamster cage last night. When I was just getting everything ready, it literally just flipped right over. I had to vacuum all the dirt. It was a mess. So now you can see a lot of it is broken, but it'll grow back. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I want everything, but I do want to put the grass in this back corner. I think it would look really good. So I don't know if I think I might want to bury this a little bit. Okay, so I do wish the grass looked a little nicer than I had it knocked it over, but I think that these kind of make the grass stand out a little bit more. I made these panels to kind of make Elmer some like huts and like just toys and stuff. And if you guys want to see a video on like me making like DIY hamster toys and stuff, definitely comment down below because I've been thinking about it and I have some pretty unique ideas. Now, I was going to put Elmer's old wheel in here, but I think I'm gonna skip on that because this new wheel is just so much better for him and it just looks a lot better. It's gonna be the permanent wheel anyway. So I just feel like I'm going to leave this wheel in here and I think he'll do just fine. And now this right here did come from Elmer's other cage. So again, something with his scent on it. And I think I'm gonna put it like right down here and kind of make like a little bridge going from up here, which is going to be, you know, like the grass and everything, and kind of just goes right down where his wheel is and where his little water bowl is going to be. And it kind of just like separates the cage a little bit, I think, especially because the color of it. I do wish I had two of these because I definitely would put them side by side, but maybe I can come up with an idea to kind of give the same effect. The hamster cage is now officially done and I cannot wait to show you guys. And what better way to reveal the brand new naturalistic bin cage than to have Elmer in it. As you can see, I closed the blinds the opposite way, so it's like extra dark in here, blocking out as much light as it can. But I've moved Elmer's cage over here, and I'm just gonna let him chill for a little bit. I filmed a few minutes longer than I wanted to when I first put him in because I didn't want to stress him out, but I also was just so amazed and excited to see him in his new cage. But I will check in with you guys tomorrow, and he's just gonna have this room to himself, and it's just gonna be dark and quiet, and he can just rest.